how does this affect them like right now? Because a draft is generally about the long-term future, and we can talk through, kind of where these guys end up projecting. But what about right now? Because I've often said I don't like counting and relying on rookies. If they end up popping, if they end up having a role, great. Obviously, that's changing a little bit. Nicky Manwari became somebody they relied on last year. They relied on Gray Zabel. Like, there's some guys they needed to rely on. Is that where we're at this year? Are there some guys that are going to play major roles this year for the Seahawks?
Well, the obvious one is Jadarian Price. I mean, that's just as simple as it gets. And as much as you don't want to rely on a rookie, he will be getting the majority of the touches come week one. And I don't think there's any question about that. That's the easy one. It also shifts the whole Seahawks focus. I think going into this after the draft, my big thing was, what are they going to do at running back? What are they going to – and I didn't think they would do this, really. I thought they were going to trade and make some kind of splash trade and get some kind of veteran running back. I thought they could do that. And now it shifts their entire focus now to edge. I think that's all it does. It takes running back solved. They're going to go in with what they have right now. I like it. It's going to be fine. Again, you don't need that big old superstar, and Jadarian Price can be that guy, but now you got to see where are they going to get some edge depth. I think that'll be this whole focus going into OTAs, going into mini camp, and then going into.
No, I don't want to spoil it, but that's definitely coming up in a few minutes here in Blue 88 because I want to know who you want. So we'll get to that in a few. But yeah, I mean, so Price he's probably going to start.
Yes.
He's probably going to lead this team in carries when it's said and done. They are relying on Jadarian Price. Okay, so then let's go to days 2 and 3.
Yep.
Bud Clark, safety. Are you counting on him to start? Is he competing with Ty Okada? Is there a different role that I don't know? Like, what is Bud Clark right away?
Well, I think that's the beauty of this defense from Coach McDonald is I don't think he's going to have to be in there every single play and develop. Now, who knows? Maybe after you see him in OTAs, he picks up on this defense. He's got it, and he is that guy. He is Kobe Bryant for you. That's what he would be. So, but I think there'll be a lot of shifting. That's kind of how I see that. I think Ty Okada will get his time. I think Bud Clark will obviously get his, and then I think you'll see Eamon Worry a little bit too, more on the back end, which we didn't see a lot as well. So there's a lot of ways that they can
move things around in order to make it. Yeah, that's true.
So you're not putting the pressure on him right away.
Yeah, the Ty Okada part is interesting because he played really well in limited duty last year, and it does in some ways go back to that conversation I was alluding to with baseball of like, hey, Luke Raley's hitting really well because you're putting him in the right position to succeed. You don't overexpose Luke Raley by letting him hit against lefties and watch that batting average and OPS and everything else plummet because, unfortunately, that's just not what his skill set is. Ty Okada played really well in limited duty. Is there a concern that he could be overexposed? And so you want to make sure you're keeping that to the right amount of time on the field?
I think so, and because you saw a little bit of it last year as well. You saw him get exposed a couple times. You remember the Tampa Bay game? He played in that game. You saw what Tampa Bay did.
He got better after that. Yes. I mean, that was his first.
He got better. Not all his fault either.
Right.
I mean, it goes around the whole secondary what happened there. But you just have to – you look at the straight facts. He was in there when Julian Love was not. And then you go to a couple plays I want to go to in the when he played against the Rams. And, yes, he made fantastic plays, but a couple times just kind of almost losing sight of where Puka Nacua was and kind of playing the ball and kind of taking a bad angle, allowing Puka to score a touchdown in those little mid-dig routes. So, again, very nitpicky, extremely nitpicky. He played fantastic. And I thought – and that was the common theme for this year was that whoever was asked to step up did, especially on defense, which was great. So, there's little things that I know Ty Okada is going to work on as far as that, but I think it's just going to be fantastic to have that competition. But the guy I'm looking at, Salk, that I think will make the biggest impact this year is Julian Neal.
Really?
I do. I really do. I think that this was, like I said a little bit earlier, it was love at first sight for the Seahawks.
So just for people who were kind of following along here but weren't paying rapt attention, second-round pick was Bud Clark. That's who we were just talking about. He's a safety at a TCU. Julian Neal is a corner who kind of bounced around a little bit but finished at Arkansas. Third-round pick, and in theory could step right. I mean, is that a position you can step right in right away?
I think he's going to have to. I mean, you look at the corner depth. I think what you see, what you have. Who they signed Noah. I'm going to get his last name right.
Igbenogany.
Yep. Noah. They signed Noah, and so there'll be some competition there, and you have Nehemiah Pritchett as well, but there's not a ton there. I think it's wide open for him to be that third corner and move Spoon in on nickel packages when you need to. But again, that's the beauty as well as having a guy like Bud Clark, having a guy like Imanwari that can play that nickel too. So they have options, but I think Julian Neal is going to be a guy we see a lot of because they love what he brings. They love his length and just his ability to come up, stop the run, just like Spoon. He wants to hit. I mean, go watch him. Go pull up a YouTube video and go watch him. His highlights as a corner are him making tackles.
Yeah, Mike McDonald was asked about drafting all these corners. They picked 4 cornerbacks in the draft.
Yeah, well, there's definitely some special teams value, but like you can never have too many corners, you know. And I don't think I've been a part of a team that has this many like drafted corners on their team, and so going into camp, which is really exciting. So it's gonna be a fun competition, man. You know, it's gonna be really cool to see get these guys in here and get moving and see where it goes. So. And I know Jay's really excited too.
Yeah, so 3 drafted corners plus the drafted safety, so 4 members of the secondary. In that way, somewhat akin to that draft class with Tedrick Thompson and Mike Tyson and Shaquille Griffin and who am I missing? Leno Hill, when they went 4 members of the secondary, and none of them really worked out other than Shaq Griffin. You know, you look at this, and I don't think they're being drafted the same way. It's not that, hey, you're eventually going to replace the Legion of Boom, so off you go. This is much more, all right, go in there and compete with some guys that, in many cases, are still on their rookie deals. And some of these guys are probably a little bit more about special teams, Fuller and Dansby and all that. But, yeah, I think you could see the other thing you're going to find. Brock has said this a bunch of times, that there is going to be a rookie who shines on Hard Knocks. And it seems like Julian Neal is already making a case that he wants that to be him. Like all of the sound that we had from him, it does sound like here he is talking about his grandmother. He was asked, or his grandfather rather, what is your why? Why do you play football?
My grandpa, he died in 2022, cancer. He died on the game. He died on the game when we played Wyoming. He died that day before my game. He died 2022. No, I'll do it for my grandpa, man. Rest in peace, John Addison Neal.
Just the personality. Yeah. There's plenty of it. I don't mean to chuckle. I'm not laughing at his grandfather dying, obviously, but just the energy with which he's even talking about something like that is pretty out of control. I mean, this kid he is all personality. He was asked about the Seahawks defense.
Yeah, they're a very physical team. They like big corners. I feel like I fit well with that. I can fit in their scheme. The head coach, my corners coach, that coached at Arkansas, was assistant corners coach at the Seahawks 2 years ago. So it was just meant to be. He told me, man, yeah.
He just goes until he runs out of steam, and then he's finally just like, yeah, anyway. I also more have found this one. This one's great. So he was asked, not unlike the question I asked Jadarian Price on Friday. I was like, all right, end of the game, you want to run through somebody around? And all running backs say through, because you have to. What are you going to say? Oh, I'd like to avoid contact and just get around. Right. I'm like, of course you want to say through.
But his line was pretty great. He said there's something poetic about the pads clacking.
That's true. It was a pretty good answer. But they asked Julian Neal what would be his favorite coverage call at a crucial point in the game. And there's some left and right turns here. It's a wild ride, but you take a listen.
So we're in a 4-2-5, country cover 3, basically a true zone. Wait, you said we're in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, fourth quarter, any important situation. What's your favorite defensive call and your role in it? So you're saying you're playing country cover 3, yeah?
Oh, no. We playing man. I'm gonna go punch him. I'm gonna go punch on somebody. They're not getting past me. And if you get past, I'm gonna look back for the ball and I'm gonna get that. Simple. And I'm gonna go and punch somebody at the line.
Love it. Now, are you in off coverage or in press in this situation?
I'm in press. I'm all up in your face. Okay. I'm going to get down and dirty with it. Come on.
What do you think?
I think this is going to be, if there's ever a year for Hard Knocks, this is going to be it.
Right?
It's going to be so fun. And they're going to hang out in that defensive back room probably 75% of the time is what I'm feeling.
It's sure. I mean, you would think between Witherspoon and these two new guys coming in, and Julian Love is a great talker in his own way. I mean, very different style, but a great talker. I mean, you think about those four guys alone, that's a lot of personality in that one room.
It is. And you got the leader, Julian Love, like you said, who's just probably sitting back going, okay, here we go.
Julian's like, any guys golf?
Yeah, exactly.
Just looking for somebody to golf
quite
with.
The season, and you got all these characters, and I absolutely love it. It is exactly what you need in a secondary, and I mean, just both those guys. Bud Clark, that interview was we were dying. We were doing the show on Friday, the draft show from 4-9 here, and it was, we couldn't get our thoughts. It was so funny. Listen to him. It was great. Julian Neal, same thing. So I couldn't be more excited about that.
So what do we learn, right? What does this tell us? I tried to go through and say, okay, if they do this, then what will we learn about kind of the way they view the team now that it's done? I mean, I have to imagine that they must like one of the veteran edge players, right, who they could sign this week. If I understand correctly, after today, if you sign a veteran free agent, you don't have to give up draft pick compensation. So before tomorrow, that would have been the rule. But after today, once you sign somebody, you don't need to worry about draft pick compensation at that point. And obviously that's important to them. They want all of these picks. They're going to have like 11 picks now next year or something like that. And so, they asked Mike and John about that. Like, hey, is that something that's on your radar screen, finding another edge player?
After Monday, you can sign free agents without it affecting the comp pick formula. Do you guys anticipate maybe adding more to the competition at the edge spot?
Yeah, we may. Yep.
Yeah. John said, yeah, I think we may. And of course, right? I mean, like that, you lost Boye Mafe. That's the one thing you didn't change. It sure feels like the other goal here was competition at corner, competition on the offensive line.
Yeah, I think so. And, going back to the edge real quick, it's going to be a very, very experienced crew, no matter who they sign. All these edge guys that are free agents are all older guys, 15 seasons plus. You're going to join them with Nuosu. You're going to join them with DeMarcus Lawrence. So you're going to have quite the savvy veteran group on the edge. And then go back. What was the other thing you just asked?
Well, just the competition at corner and now maybe on the inside of the offensive line.
Going to, not to ignore those two positions, because, yes, so true. Like corner, you already have the guys last year that they drafted too with Mason Richmond and Dable do. And so you have tons of competition going for that one spot. So the offensive line is probably going to be the most competitive because there's really only one spot kind of up for grabs if you put it that way. But I'm even going to go to wide receiver. I didn't think that they were going to draft a guy in wide receiver.
Yeah.
I thought there'd be no chance. You have 5 guys that are pretty much guaranteed all their contracts.
And they spent a ton of money there in the offseason.
Ton of money, and they still drafted someone in the 6th round. So that just shows me that this team is built on competition. And I think that's important. I think it's important to bring a guy in here who's hungry. You drafted in the 6th round out of Kansas, the wide receiver, and he's going to be fighting for a spot. And can he do it? I don't know. It's going to take a little bit, obviously, but you do need that drive. You need people pushing these veterans that are there from behind, just saying, okay, this young rookie's here to take my spot. We got to give it. You need that.
It was always a Pete Carroll thing to compete every day. It felt like at the end, a little collapse of the Roman Empire. It was said a whole lot more than it was actually done. This feels like some actual action, some real, not just saying it, but doing it. And we'll see how this starts to play out once they get into camp in the season.